Hey there! Ever wondered how a game streams an entire open world with zero loading screens? In Unity, it's usually multiple scenes running at once. This trick gives you seamless loading, lets you edit several scenes at the same time, and keeps huge maps manageable. Oh, and you've been using it every day, probably without even realizing it. Buckle up! Everyone knows how to load a scene. It's a single line. I wire Scene Manager load scene to a button, and that's basically it. So let me show you my setup instead. This is the scene we'll actually be working in. A modular space station I grabbed from the asset store. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want a copy. I also have a main menu scene. Just a canvas with a black background and two things inside it. An animated icon, and a button to start the game. When I press start, the game scene loads and I can walk around and enjoy my little space adventure. But did you notice the transition? Let me run that back and take a look at the animated icon. The circles are spinning, but the moment I press start, everything freezes until the game scene finishes loading. The scene I'm loading isn't that big, so the freeze is small, but it is there. And if this were a really complex environment, that small freeze would turn into a very noticeable one. The reason for this freeze is the synchronous nature of the LoadScene method. It holds up the main thread until it's done. The solution, of course, is the asynchronous version. And if you're not comfortable with async code or unitask, I have a couple of videos on that. Links in the description. But just swapping in the async variant isn't enough. The loading itself becomes asynchronous, but we'll still get that lag during the switch. Thankfully, there's another way. LoadScene Async has an overload that takes the LoadScene mode enum. By default, it's set to single, meaning there's only ever one scene present. Here, I'll choose additive instead. Now, the game scene gets loaded, but it doesn't replace the menu. The two live side by side. I could fire this off and forget about it, but awaiting it is handy when I want to do something once loading finishes, like fading out the loading view. The fade out code is nothing special. It's just a unit task that twins the canvas group's alpha over time, and that's basically it. Since I'm using the menu as my loading screen, I'll disable the button the moment it's pressed. Then disable the whole UI at the end to avoid overdraw. Back in Unity, I'll drag the canvas group into its field and enter play mode. Now watch the spinning icon. A lot smoother, right? But still not perfect. So what's going on? On the left, you can see two scenes loaded at once. The menu we started from and the game scene below it loaded additively. Both are being rendered at the same time. And notice that we've now got two cameras, both tagged as main camera, both rendering, and both burning resources and fighting each other. Plus, other duplicates like the event system. So, let's try unloading the one we no longer need. Once the game scene has loaded and the UI has faded out, I can call the unload_scene async API. It works like LoadScene. You hand it a name, an index, or the scene instance itself, which is what we'll do here. Scene Manager can fetch the active scene for me. By default, that's the one we started from. And the active scene is where any new game object lands. You can have 10 scenes loaded, but call instantiate without a parent, and the object spawns into the active one. There's only ever a single active scene at a time. So, to make the game scene active, I grab a reference to it and call setActiveScene. Now I'll jump straight into play mode. Once the game loads, the menu unloads and we're back to a single scene in the hierarchy. But wait, why does this Don't Destroy on Load section look suspiciously like a scene? Well, because it is one. It gets special treatment, but you can still reach the objects inside it with a little hack. So, you've been using multiple scenes this whole time. You just didn't know it. Another thing you didn't know about is the like and subscribe buttons below this video. The way they work is you click on them and I instantly get happy. It's one of the coolest features out there. But let's say I want to show the loading progress. For that, I'll add a simple UI slider, though in a real project you'd probably use an image with a fill value instead. I'll reference it in the main menu class, and since I need it hidden at the start, I'll disable its GameObject during awake. LoadScene async returns an async operation that Unitask lets us await, but to track progress we need to drop the await, treat the call as fire and forget, and store the operation in a variable. Now I can write a while loop that runs until the operation's progress hits 1, which is 100%. Each pass, I update the slider's value and wait a frame. So I'm letting the load run in the background and polling it every frame for where it's at. But we can go even further. Loading happens in 2 phases. First, the scene is pulled into memory, then it's activated. Like loading a prefab into memory before you instantiate it. We control that with the allow scene activation property. Set it to false and the scene loads but won't actually activate. Which comes with a catch. Progress now never reaches 100% because it's only doing the loading half. Unity splits it 90% for loading and 10% for activation. So 90 is our new 100 and we treat it that way in code. This is actually handy when you want to preload a scene and then drop the player into it on demand with no wait. When you're ready to activate, you flip allow scene activation back to true and either await the rest or let it finish in the background. I'll drag the slider into main menu component and jump into play mode. After I hit start, the bar appears. It fills fast and the menu fades out. Again, small environment, so it's quick. But you probably noticed we still haven't killed the freeze. It's much smaller now, but it is there. And this time, the reason's different. Remember how 2 loaded scenes gave us duplicate cameras and event systems? Even while one scene is unloading, there's at least one frame where both are live at once. And that's what's causing the stutter. The solution? You guessed it. Even more scenes. I want a Bootstrap scene that owns everything shared across the rest, so I'll duplicate the menu. And here's a neat trick. You can edit multiple scenes at once. Just drag one into hierarchy and voila, both are editable. I can drag the game scene in too, and if I disable the 2D view and focus in, there's the environment, right there in the shared view. But back to the UI. I've got components duplicated across all 3 scenes. The directional light, the camera, the event system, all need cleaning. And I'll start with the Bootstrap scene. I'll empty the canvas and remove the main menu component. I can still see the menu in the duplicated scene, but whenever I want it gone, I can unload it from the 3 dots menu here. The content disappears, but the scene is still listed and ready to load when I need it. The Bootstrap carries the shared components now, so I'll delete them from the others. And this is basically our setup when the game loads. 3 scenes, each responsible for its own thing. Now for a Bootstrap component. It gets a reference to the menu scene and to a game object I'll show the player while the game initializes. Basically, a splash screen after the real splash screen. Mine's just a black image, but you'd usually go for something nicer. During awake, I load the menu and once it's in, I disable the overlay. Run it now though, I'd hit a small bug. Over in the main menu component, I need to add a reference to the menu scene. The problem is that it assumes the menu is the active scene and unloads it. And since that's no longer true, I have to spell out exactly what to unload. Otherwise, Bootstrap gets unloaded instead, taking all that shared goodness with it. With that sorted, the Bootstrap scene needs a game object carrying the Bootstrap component. I'll drag the overlay panel onto it, that's the renamed main menu panel from earlier, and type the menu scene's name here. The main menu component needs that name too. By the way, honestly, wiring things up with strings everywhere gives me the chills. It's really awful. There are much better ways of handling it, but that's a topic for another video. And last thing, I'll add the new scene to the build profile list so we can actually use it. So now, to launch the game, I open the Bootstrap scene and hit play. Once it loads, Bootstrap and the menu both show up in the hierarchy. I press start, the game scene loads in smoothly, and the menu fades out. Frame by frame, you can spot the handful of frames where the game scene loads in and the menu drops out. Everything works together now. The shared elements stay in Bootstrap, but I can still wander the space station like it's all one scene. One important note though, in a real game, you'd split things even further. There's no reason to bundle the loading screen with the menu, and Bootstrap won't always carry everything. For example, you might want different camera setups in different areas, so usually you do something smarter. By the way, some of you are probably already wondering, do I really have to load Bootstrap every time I want to enter play mode? Because if I start from the game scene, for example, it loads with no camera, so I can't play. There are a few ways to solve this, and how complex they get depends on how much control you want. I'll show you the simplest. For that, I'll need a static class with a static method. I'll call mine EnsureStartScene. Inside, I check the current active scene, and if it isn't Bootstrap, I load Bootstrap instead. Synchronously, not additively. And once again, sorry for the string comparison. It just gets the idea across. So, how does this run on its own? In an earlier video, I covered the runtime initialize on load method attribute. It makes a method run at runtime startup, and when I pass it the before scene load value, it guarantees this code fires before the first scene loads. In plain terms, this runs the moment you enter play mode, while the active scene is still whatever you had open in the editor. Now, even if I hit play from the game scene or any other, Bootstrap loads instead. That can be inconvenient for some setups, and there are workarounds. You could add a custom play button that loads Bootstrap for you. Let me know in the comments if you'd want a video on that. But now, let's talk about how large worlds usually get built. Right now, my space station lives in a single scene, and for a map this size, that's perfectly fine. But let's say we're dealing with a huge world, one that's either pre-built or even assembled on the fly. The first step is to split everything into multiple scenes. The second is waypoints. Each one is an invisible gate configured with a list of scenes to load when the player walks into its trigger collider. Behind the scenes, pun intended, I just load and unload according to that list. And here's how it comes together. Up in the top right corner, I'll set up a scene view to act as a minimap. I just need to nudge the camera into the right position so it reads cleanly from above. Now I'll load my startup scene and enter play mode. Right away, notice how the whole map isn't loaded, only the parts around me are. And watch the minimap as I move. As I walk through the station, new areas stream in and the ones behind me drop out, all in the background. I've given myself enough buffer to load each area in time, but this is the naive approach. It's not foolproof, and a real streaming system would be quite a bit smarter about when and what it loads. And I'll be honest, this map isn't ideal for a demo like this. It's tiny, which gives the loader almost no room to work, and it's full of windows. So, at any point, the player can glance outside and catch a glimpse of pure void where a room is supposed to be. Now that was a lot to pack into one video, but I wanted to show you as much as I could in the simplest way possible. A quick personal note. A while back I moved from weekly uploads to a bi-weekly schedule, but I'm not planning to stop anytime soon. I've got a ton of things I want to share, with plenty of ideas in various stages of cooking. The moment I can get back to weekly, I will. Until then, keep on creating, and I'll see you in the next one.